Now we're spending the whole time in a laptop trying to figure stuff out or doing PowerPoint slides. It's important to get our body moving. A colleague and dear friend of mine, Martin, he went to the doctors and said, "Dude, I want to be better." And the doctor said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "Nothing. I just want to be better." He said, "Well, I can't find anything wrong." That indicates where the problem is right now. Because until something goes wrong, we don't know to do anything. Now, with a lot of these biohacking things, by looking at the data and tracking some of these things, you know before they go wrong what to do. Hey guys, how are we doing? How are you enjoying Mind Valley University so far? So, today, I'm very happy to be here today to share this journey. So, everything I talk about, I learn from the best authors, scientists, researchers, everywhere I can find as much data as I can. And I am none of those things. I am just someone that wants to optimize their health and share everything I learn along the way, and as much data as possible as well. So, this was me at 31. And don't worry, this isn't going to be a sub-story about how my life was awful and how crappy I felt, but a little bit of background. So, traditional guy, working hard, poor diet, poor lifestyle, all of the usual things, and I didn't realize that I was getting sick. As you can see from the state of me there, it's pretty bad. I was on a flight on the way back from Bali, and I wasn't feeling too good. Got back into the country. Next thing I know, I'm in the back of an ambulance with kidney stones stuck in my ureter, which was horrendous. And the doctors just kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, once you get them, you get them. So, of course, I spent a whole year being stressed, not knowing what the hell was going on. And one day, I was in and out of the doctors literally 5 days in a row, and they just didn't have any answers for me. So I started researching, and seeing that I'd started and sold several companies, I like to think of things in strategies and working out a way to fix issues, one of which was myself. So I got Post-it notes, I was sticking them all over the walls, working out all the different symptoms and researching every one of these things. Fast forward 5 years, I heard about bulletproof coffee. Now, number one, who here understands what biohacking is? Okay, so about 40%. Who here understands what health optimization is? There should be more hands. There should be, for sure. The point is I heard about bulletproof coffee and heard about the Bulletproof Radio podcast, and that there was people like me out there called biohackers that like data, science, and technology to optimize their health. Then, after optimizing myself and listening to every guru about fasting and optimizing your health, thinking I was doing the right thing, this was me. Now, while I look younger, look at the state of that body. And I'm not particularly big built these days, but the point is I was doing what experts were telling me was the right thing to do for them. And instead of getting healthier, which I did in some ways, in other ways I actually got sicker. I thought I knew everything. And the internet is full of people that think they know everything. Oh, that didn't work for me, therefore you shouldn't do it. But that is where biohacking is so flipping amazing, because it's about what works for you as an individual, not what works for everyone else. For instance, you go to the doctors with a sore throat or an infection, he'll give you antibiotics. Or if you've got bad digestion, he says you've got IBS. Everyone pretty much has the same treatment. In biohacking, you don't. So, in this case, I had good diet, good lifestyle, did everything I thought was right, fasting as much as I could. Bonkers. So, a year later, this is me. After realizing that I shouldn't listen to every guru, I really should walk the walk and do everything properly. increase my food intake and what I eat specifically based on what my body needed. And I put on about 10 kilos, I think is the difference between the two pictures there. Same person, but the thing is, I still don't think I know everything. And in fact, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So, I'm getting into what biohacking actually is and what it isn't. And it's important to define what it isn't because the media likes to call it lots of different things. What it isn't is having a chip implant in your hand. Now, I wear a constant glucose monitor because I like to see what different foods do to my health. And, but there are people that are implanting chips that you can get on the underground or pay for things. It's not that. It is not editing your genes or your cat's genes so it glows in the dark, which is TV programs lead you to believe. And it's not just popping random supplements hoping that it's the right one. That's not targeted, it's not diagnostic, and it's not specific. And it's not just fad diets. So what is it? It's health optimization with a sexy name. As Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking, calls it, it's optimizing the environment inside of you and outside of you to take control of your own biology. It's figuring out why something is going wrong and not just saying something's wrong and masking the symptoms. It is preventing health issues before they happen. And it's targeted and quantified using data. For instance, the Oura ring, which I track my deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, heart rate variability, resting heart rate, respiratory rate, body temperature, the lot. As well as various other things such as air quality when I'm traveling, or EMFs in my hotel room where I rip the Wi-Fi router off the ceiling because it interferes with your sleep, which I'll come on to later on, where I damage the ceiling and have to buy sticky tape to hide it so that the cleaners don't see it. I will tag the hotel after I've moved out. So, health optimization and biohacking are all of these things brought together. The longevity movement, ancestral wisdom, mimicking nature, where we can't get to nature, and I'll go into details on that in a minute, including fitness, especially quantified fitness, preventative medicine, and nutrition. Traditional doctors don't generally go into this stuff. There are a few that are coming around. For instance, if we talk about preventative medicine, a colleague and dear friend of mine, Martin, he went to the doctors and said, "Dude, I want to be better." And the doctor said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "Nothing. I just want to be better." And he said, "Well, I can't find anything wrong." That indicates where the problem is right now. Because until something goes wrong, we don't know to do anything. Now, with a lot of these biohacking things, by looking at the data and tracking some of these things, you know before they go wrong what to do. With implementing the things that I'm talking about today, you will have actionable takeaways, things for you to try for you to see what works for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But you can implement them, try them, and see how well it works for you. Now, biohacking is also perceived as very expensive to the general public. It's one of the things I get asked on my Instagram most frequently is, "Are you rich because you do all this biohacking?" Well, these things are all fun. They are ridiculously fun. And like with sex, it serves several purposes. One, because we can reproduce, and two, because it's great fun. Biohacking is the same, in my opinion. So here we have red light therapy, chili pads that cool your body temperature down while you sleep, a shitload of supplements, laser IV, tracking your blood glucose, and hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And I love them all, don't get me wrong. But they're not fundamental. And until you get the fundamentals right, your body is not going to operate as it should do. It is that simple. And by doing these things, you can optimize your health and performance by, I expect, around 80%. And these things will not get you 80% of the way. And it starts with these three areas, just these three areas: your mind, your body, and your environment. And I'll explain. So, your mind. Meditation, as we know on multiple studies and even on scans proving it, what it does to our mind, what it does to our energy, what it does to our cortisol levels. Flow states, getting into flow states. Now who here knows when they're in flow state when they're working? Who doesn't know what flow state is? It is that state that you get to when everything is just flowing freely. You are working, you are in the zone. Everything is so easy, it's just bump, 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 done. And you feel so productive. It's also brain training, taking nootropics, which I am a big fan of. I have a blue tongue most of the time, as you can probably see, which is methylene blue. I won't go into the details on that. There are things like psychedelics, which again, I am a massive fan of, as Sean spoke about yesterday, especially microdosing psilocybin when I'm in a country where it's legal. And one that's helped me personally is mindfulness, just stopping and being present in the moment and observing the world around you. Now, all of these things with our mind helps the body calm. It has a massive effect on our body hormonally, and when our hormones are out of whack, we bloody well know it. Body, sleep. If there's one thing that you do out of everything from what you learned today, and I will go into my favorite one for this, it is optimize your sleep. One thing that you take away from today is your sleep. Because if your sleep is shit, you will feel really bad. You will feel really bad. And when you have that for a few nights in a row, you feel really, really bad. And you are dying for a good sleep. The amount of processes that run while you do sleep helps the body heal and recover from the damage you have done to it during the day. So I've lumbered on that point a little bit, but I will come back to it in a bit. So body is also supplementation, optimizing your oral health, because if your mouth isn't healthy, your gut won't be healthy. And that includes things like root canal, metal fillings, oral microbiome imbalance. It's getting your nutrition and diet down. It's also optimizing your hormones, so you have decent libido and a good sex life, and all the other things on the slide. I'm not going to do death by PowerPoint from this. Environment. Actually, it's the most underrated one of all. And what happens in our environment determines what happens in our body. For instance, if you were swimming in a pool of acid, what would happen? You wouldn't last very long. That's just the extreme example. You want to make sure your environment is good. That means light, air, people around you, mold, EMFs. Now, who here knows anything about EMFs? Who here is crazy enough to turn off their Wi-Fi router at night? Yeah, pretty cool. Awesome. With EMFs, it's an important one for me specifically because once upon a time, in one of my apartments where I was living, I couldn't sleep. I was semi-awake pretty much all night, every night. You know that state where your mind is just ticking over, almost like you're going to miss a flight in a few hours' time. I was like that every night, until we had the decorators come in, and he moved the Wi-Fi router away from the wall, which just happened to be less than a foot away from the head of my bed, and I suddenly started sleeping properly. Now, this was 12, 13 years ago, before I even knew what biohacking was, and I was like, there's something in this. Now, today, when I share about EMFs, people say, this is BS, you don't know what you're talking about, it doesn't affect your health, the government would know better than telling us this stuff's safe. Test it for yourself, is all I say. So I turn my Wi-Fi router off at night. I turn pretty much every electrical device off in my house, and I measure the EMFs. In fact, I got an EMF reader here with me. I was going to demo it on stage, but I won't bother. Air quality is also important. I carry an air quality meter with me everywhere. It's called Altos. And one thing that I've noticed is when I yawn the most, or when I'm knackered, or when I'm out of flow state, the air quality on this device shows stupidly low. And the carbon dioxide in the air is stupidly high, such as when I fly. Carbon dioxide is triple of what it is at my home in London in a plane. And it's ridiculous. It is stressing our body this whole time, which is why people get so jet lagged and get ill when they fly, because our bodies need oxygen to operate properly, obviously. Anyway, I'll move on. Light exposure is also really important, like these LEDs shining in my eyes right now, and I feel like a fraud for not wearing blue blocking glasses, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So, we're going to get into some actionable takeaways after I've told you those three areas. So, feel free to take photos if you want. So, wear blue blockers after sunset. Now, I'm going to get another show of hands here. Who knows what blue blocking glasses are? Who thinks they look absolutely bonkers? Me too. But I love them. If there was one hack, unless I was on a desert island with no fake light, if there was one hack that I would do for the rest of my life, over everything else I ever biohack with, it is wear blue blocking glasses. And that is a big, big claim. If we do not have an absence of blue light for at least 3 hours before bed, we do not secrete our main sleep hormone, melatonin, enough. So your sleep will be impaired. Now, melatonin is also good for helping the body to detoxify. And so even if you have access to light, or you are looking at your phone before bed, or have household lights on with blue light on, your body will think it's around 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And why you will fall asleep, it's because you are exhausted. And when you track this with something like an Oura ring, you will see the difference from wearing a set of blue blockers for a week. I guarantee it. Some people are super light sensitive, and like years of sleep issues disappear when they start wearing blue blockers. You can get fancy ones, as always, for hundreds of pounds, or you can get some from Amazon for 30 quid, 30 euros, whatever. So if there's one thing you take from this talk, it is that. But if you haven't got those, turn off your screens and electronics, unplug your Wi-Fi, you'll sleep better for it. In fact, one guy I consulted with, he said the whole family has sleep issues, and I walked around his house with him on a Zoom call, and he had a Wi-Fi router under his bed and under his kid's bed. So, yeah, obviously they moved those pretty quickly, and it really helped. So another one is, who has plug sockets next to their bed, at the bed head, like next to the bedside table? Electricity runs through those wires, and when you measure it with an EMF device, it goes crazy. So when you're lying in bed and your bed head is next to the wall, your brain perceives a threat. And this has been measured in a recent study showing how the brain is actually active when you sleep if there's EMFs in the room. So my recommendation is to pull the bed 12 to 18 inches away from the wall. You will notice a difference very quickly. I'll give you one crazy example. My mum, lifelong migraine sufferer, been trying to nail it with everything we could. They got better and better and better. The final thing was pulling the bed away from the wall, 18 inches. Hasn't had a migraine since. It might work for them, might not work for you, but try it out, test it. So yeah, another thing is too many people sit and watch Netflix in bed. I'm guilty of that, but it's nearly always with something that helps you chill out. Because if you're watching something with war and violence, your body will perceive a threat and not want to relax. Air quality, open the window, get fresh air in. Again, since I've been tracking this over the last 12, 18 months, it's made a big difference to my sleep. My heart is significantly better rested. It's almost 10 beats a minute less than when I used to sleep with the window closed. And if you sleep with your partner in your room, the carbon dioxide levels in your bedroom will be super high. It's free. Open up your window, get some fresh air in. It's that simple. Temperature is also important, but it's not one that everyone can do something with if you don't have air conditioning. So, point 2, stay hydrated. You'd think staying hydrated is easy, right? Just drinking a glass of water a few times a day. Well, actually, drinking and hydrating are very different. Drinking serves 2 purposes. 1, to keep the blood liquid and flush out the toxins, and 2, to get minerals into the body. Now, while we get minerals into our bodies via food, a good source of it is via the water. So if you're drinking bottled water like Evian that are low in minerals, and the water industry knows the lower in minerals in the water, the more you need to drink to get those minerals. So you end up drinking more, and then you see everyone carrying around with the water bottle, getting more and more thirsty and drinking more and more water and peeing more and more. You can combat this by putting a little pinch of Celtic sea salt or sea salt into your water, every bottle you have. You'll find that your water consumption will go down probably around 30%, and you will pee a lot less. So if you are one of those people that pee frequently, and I was going 30 to 50 times a day when I was super ill, which is a nightmare and depressing, potassium, it helps you retain your water. So anyone here that goes to the toilet more than 7 or 8 times a day, maybe try supplementing with a tiny bit of potassium. You can thank me later. Don't drink tap water. Some countries have exceptions, such as certain areas of Germany, but generally it's pretty crap. It has hormones and antibiotics in, which then damage your gut and throw your hormones out, which can make you feel crap and help contribute to IBS. And do not drink water near your food, because that waters down your gastric juices and makes digestion harder. That means you get less nutrients from your food, including minerals, and the whole cycle continues. So, I'm going to skip on quite quickly from here. Natural light. Don't wake with your phone in your face, because it is fake light. It flickers. Your unconscious mind doesn't like it. Your body hates it. Wake up looking out the window, opening the window if possible, and getting full spectrum natural light. It doesn't have to be sunny. We still get natural light through clouds, otherwise it would be dark. If you can see sunset, awesome. Obviously it's not so easy when you're not in Spain or Greece or something like that. But at least see full spectrum light as much as you can and get your body exposed to as much natural light. Doesn't necessarily mean direct sunlight if you've got pale skin, and terms and conditions apply. So if you are deficient in vitamin D, that is a good indicator that you are light deficient. Does not mean that you are just vitamin D deficient. When sunlight hits our skin, it converts cholesterol into our hormones, one of which is vitamin D. It should actually be called hormone D. So if your vitamin D levels are low, it is indicative that you are low in sunlight or natural light. If you have darker skin and you live in the northern hemisphere, you probably almost definitely are. And in fact, the highest rate of prostate cancer in the world is in African men in the northern hemisphere, because they are so low in vitamin D and don't get enough natural light because they need more natural light than pale skin. And then, of course, wear blue blockers after sunset. So, this is one of my personal favorites, actually, and has impacted my life massively, although I feel absolutely bonkers whenever I take my shoes off and stand in the grass in a park. Grounding and nature. We evolved without rubber shoes on our feet, and while they look cool, an important part of our electrical system comes from grounding, free electrons to be precise, and those free electrons come into our body and help balance our electrical system. It scavenges free radicals, which reduces inflammation. So it is nature's most powerful antioxidant. It's in abundance, it's free, and yet most people don't get their shoes off and ground. However, I think in the Mind Valley tribe, and in our one in London at the summit. This is more well known. So, show of hands, who gets their shoes off and grounds in the grass? That's a pretty good amount. I'm happy with this. At one talk I gave, I had one hand. The only time that was when they hung the washing out in the garden and they forgot to put their shoes on. It's critical for our bodies to operate properly, to be grounded. I recommend 20 minutes a day. 40 is even better. Over that, I don't see any benefits. And you can measure it in the body with thermography scans, which I've actually had. And I didn't put them on the slides because I wanted to keep them as simple as possible. But you can see the inflammation in the body disappear after grounding, sleeping grounded, for 4 nights in a row. And you can get grounding bed sheets if you live in the city and you don't have a park near you, like myself. Or you can just get your shoes off and stand in the grass. I have an earthing mouse mat as well, so that when I'm standing at my standing desk, I'm earthed out at the same time. Breathing, again, another simple one. And I did call these fundamentals. It's basically a fancy word for basics. But breathing, again, is one of the most basic things that we have in our lives. In fact, we do it all day, every day, hopefully. And yet, most of us are really poor at it. Now, I heard about mouth taping, and nose breathing a few years back. And people that snore generally are more mouth breathers. You can also tell a mouth breather, opposed to a nose breather, often by the formation of their jaw. If we breathe through our nose, so many different processes happen in the body, including nitric oxide production, which helps with blood flow, which helps with cognition. In fact, when we nose breathe, it actually stimulates the brain. And yet we've become so lazy, we breathe through our mouth most of the times. I bet most of you now have gone, oh, crap, and start breathing through your nose. It's very basic, but you can force yourself to nose breathe by getting some surgical tape and putting it across your mouth. Now, I have got a picture again. I didn't include it in the slides because it looks a bit 50 Shades of Grey. And with my surname, I get a laugh. So, but if you do this for a few nights in a row, mouth tape, you will find that you automatically default to nose breathing. You find that if you wake with a dry mouth or headaches, a lot of these things resolve very, very quickly. It did for me. There are various ways to do your breathing. I like box breathing before bed, which is breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, holding on the out for 4 seconds. And if you do this, it will actually help you fall asleep as well. It's very, very calming. It tricks the body into thinking it's in a relaxed state. It feels relaxed, and then you drop off to sleep. 3 to 5 minutes is amazing. Obviously, Wim Hof, the legend, slightly different way of doing it, but amazing. And if you do live in a city, get yourself a good air filter. I use Air Doctor personally, but there's loads of good ones out there with HEPA filters and things. So we evolved using our bodies more than our brains, not our brains more than our bodies. We would hunt, we would sleep, we would play. Now we're spending the whole time in a laptop trying to figure stuff out or doing PowerPoint slides. It's important to get our body moving. Take walking meetings, get a little trampoline or a rebounder next to your standing desk, get a standing desk. It helps your digestion, helps your mental clarity, and you don't become a couch potato. So the rule I have for myself is use my body as much as my mind. Now, while I'm not a massive gym fan, and I do push myself to do it, I do like stretching, rebounding, chin-ups, all the things that are easy that I can trip over around the house. Like in the doorway to the kitchen, if you put a chin-up bar, and make sure you do 3 or 4 of those every time you go through. Get the body moving. Helps your lymphatic system detoxify your body better. And you can pick up a rebounder for €30 on Amazon. Very simple, and I'm going to skip through this so get a photo. If you like, eat like our ancestors. That means the ingredients. Like, as Jamie Oliver says, real food doesn't have ingredients, it is the ingredients. Organic veg, organic fruit, hopefully grass-fed organic meat, wild fish. Even the vegetables are hard to navigate because of the amount of pesticides and crap they put on it to make them grow. But eat natural. You'll see how differently your body runs when you feed it properly. No pasta, rice is fine. No pasta, none of these crappy products, and bread is the tough one for everyone to avoid. As soon as the waiter comes over to the table with a bowl of bread, I'm like, no, take it away, because I know if it's on the table in front of me, even I will eat it. It's a minefield. Alcohol's a poison, but the thing is, I didn't drink for like 2 years, and I remember seeing people walking down the road pissed, and I was just like, I'd love to be able to get drunk. And I was so stressed about not being able to drink. In fact, one night I just said, why not? So I had a few Negronis, and I was like, this is an amazing feeling. I love this. And I relaxed. I actually got healthier as a result of being able to let go and not be too stressed about every single detail. And it's like Ben Greenfield says, it's like he likes to be clean and perfect 95% of the time. And then you savor and enjoy the 5% a lot more. Oral health. Take a screenshot of this, or a photo, sorry. I really recommend the book It's All in Your Mouth by Dr. Dom Nitzschwitz, my very dear friend, German biohacker, biological dentist. Use a tongue scraper in the morning. If you've got metal fillings, get them gone. They cause so many issues. They cause cellular deficiencies. Oil pulling is nice and easy. Throw the mouthwash in the bin. It's poison. It kills your oral microbiome. Causes all sorts of issues. And of course, community and connection. The amazing people we have in our lives makes life so much easier, doesn't it? Like, who really enjoys coming to Mind Valley and hanging around with people that just get you? Right? Isn't it amazing? Versus that nightmare guy at work that you just can't get on with. Makes your life a nightmare. I don't have that. I did once. Community and connection. It's what makes us thrive. We're tribal creatures. Now, I heard a quote, it's on here, I think, yes, from Tim Ferriss once, which was, if 80% of your problems come from 20% of the people, you know what to do. Get them gone. Give them a few chances, though. Don't be an arse. It really does make life so much easier when you have amazing people that you don't have to tread on eggshells with. It really does. And it stops the drama. And I say that wholeheartedly with my team from my summit. It's amazing. They're all growth mindset, and they hold me accountable, so I'm very grateful for that. So, as Dr. Ted Akakoso said at my summit in 2019, here is the prescription for optimal health. And it's very simple. And I've edited this, the last two of mine. Sleep well, eat well, hydrate well, breathe well, move well, sun well, ground well, relate well, love well, very well, detox well. So, after all of that stuff, and those are the basics, I really recommend you try those. The cool shit. The IVs, cryotherapy, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, PEMF, red light devices, all the expensive stuff that gives biohacking its bad name. But until you got the fundamentals down, don't bother. So, just very quickly, because I've got 1 minute, 54 seconds. New trends, what's going next? So, healthcare will become personalized. People will be tested, they know the deficiencies, they will fill those deficiencies. Everyone will have personalized healthcare. This is what is coming. There's a company called Bionic that actually do this already. It's amazing, it's going very quickly, and especially with the worldwide pandemic situation, healthcare has skyrocketed. So I'm very, very happy about that. More people are turning to ancestral living. Now, who here follows Liver King on Instagram? Just out of interest. One hand. Wow, this dude's got like 2 million followers. He's a big bodybuilder that walks around in underwear, pulling chains, and flies around in a private jet, living the primal life. It's actually quite funny, but the point is he's got 2 million followers in no time because he's got good content. more people are understanding primal and ancestral living. Supplements for kids and biohacking your pets. Biohacking for pets. Everyone loves their pets, and this is growing very, very, very fast, actually. The amount of people that ask me about this is crazy. So, I can't show those two. That's it. So, thank you guys for listening today, and I hope you got some actionable takeaways. If you want to follow me, that's me on Instagram and my summit there as well.